The iconic American television personality, Jay Leno, is bidding adieu, following a diagnosis that has left admirers in disbelief. An unseen tragedy now confronts the body that previously suffered burns and fractured bones. He has canceled many concerts and is getting ready for the most significant transformation in his life. According to multiple sources, what's actually going on? Right immediately, the whole truth of Jay Leno's illness and his startling choice will be made public. Jay Leno was involved in a terrible accident in his private garage in Burbank, California, on November 12, 2022. The fuel line unexpectedly clogged when he was fixing his 1907 white steam car, splattering gasoline in his face before it ignited. His body was consumed in flames, with his face, chest, and both hands suffering serious burns that covered around 7% of his body. Jay was taken immediately to West Hills Hospital's Grossman Burn Center in Los Angeles. At a press briefing, his personal physician, Dr. Peter G. Mann, verified that he suffered burns to about 7% of his body. I said, "Blow some air through the line. Let's see if we can clear." As I was trying to clock, a line appeared, and then all of a sudden, I was covered in gas. The pilot light jumped, and my face caught fire. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy and 2 temporary skin graft procedures were used throughout the course of treatment in order to promote tissue regeneration and lessen scarring. On November 21, 2022, Jay was released from treatment after 10 days. He would continue receiving outpatient care and going to routine exams, the center said in an official statement. Even though his arms were completely wrapped and his face skin was still red during this time, he proactively called the media, thanked the medical staff, and confirmed that his condition was stable. In an interview, longtime buddy Dave Kalaki, who was in the garage when the accident happened, noted that it was a frightening experience. Flames erupted from the engine, and Dave was the first to run in to put out the fire and get Jay out. In a matter of seconds, he explained, smoke filled the garage. The floor was covered with gasoline, but Jay was spared more serious injuries thanks to the prompt rescue. Jay didn't get much sleep once he was discharged. He performed at the Comedy and Magic Club in Hermosa Beach, where he had performed for more than 3 decades. His hands' bandages were still on, according to reporters. He had scars on his face. He didn't change his voice. As he concluded his opening act, the crowd at that show gave Jay a standing ovation. Jay grinned a little and recalled the incident in the garage, saying, "My face was on fire." Jay continued to discuss the accident during his more than hour-long performance, handling it as if it were simply another aspect of his job. Verified reports from the hospital and prominent media sources state that Jay's burns were deemed severe but completely treatable. He showed no symptoms of infection and reacted well to treatment, Dr. Grossman continued. Jay rejected any proposal to postpone his performances at that time. He informed the stage crew that he needed to put in more effort to keep up his routine. At the end of November, he resumed his performance schedule. Jay had to overcome another obstacle less than 2 weeks after the accident, before the burn event could be forgotten. This time, there was a genuine collision of steel, bone, and willpower instead of flames. The media was left puzzled how he was able to continue executing a succession of falls while still standing up after the series of accidents. Jay Leno was test riding a 1940 Indian motorcycle in Las Vegas on January 17, 2023. When an accident happened, he was knocked off his bike by a cable that ran across a parking lot with no warning signs. Jay sustained 2 shattered ribs, 2 damaged kneecaps, and a broken collarbone as a result of the forceful hit. "I got knocked off my motorcycle, so I have a broken collarbone," he recounted briefly in an interview with the Review Journal. Fans were extremely worried as his health continued to deteriorate after the accident, which happened only 2 months after the garage burn event. "I have 2 broken ribs. I have 2 cracked kneecaps." After receiving treatment for a few days at a nearby hospital, Jay was brought back to the stage. He rejected the doctor's advice to rest for at least 2 weeks. His timetable of performances didn't change. Jay moved slowly and wore an arm brace in the ensuing performances. On stage, he quipped that he was taking advantage of the ambulance service's frequent flyer discount. The story was widely reported in the U.S. media. It was dubbed the second accident in less than a year by certain discussion shows. The fact that he did not halt his work astonished both audiences and colleagues. Among entertainers of his generation, Jay was noted for having a unique work ethic. He needed at least 6 weeks to heal from his injuries, according to hospital doctors. Nevertheless, Jay showed up for a charity function a few days after the collision. smiling, posing for pictures, and shaking hands when questioned about his health. Many people said that Jay didn't seem to understand what pain was because of his placid manner. 10 months later, on the evening of November 16, 2024, Jay was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, getting ready for a gig when he fell down a 60-foot embankment behind the Hampton Inn Hotel. He shattered his wrist, damaged his face, lost a fingernail, and fell hard, hitting his head on a rock. With a slight smile, Jay announced in an interview with Inside Edition, "I fell down a hill and hit my head on a rock." He clarified that the incident occurred as he was looking for a shortcut to the parking lot, and that he had to get up to avoid being late for the concert. He only asked the hotel staff to bandage his wrist when they offered to call an ambulance. The concert that evening proceeded according to plan. His right eye was almost closed and his face was battered and swollen when he took the stage. Jay joked that his right eye was on vacation at the beginning and continued for over an hour. After he finished, the audience erupted in laughter and gave him a standing ovation. Pittsburgh photos went viral on the internet. Even though many could see the wounds on his face, he continued to smile. The seasoned host, who had survived 2 major incidents in less than 2 years without missing a single show, was praised by the media for his perseverance. According to several coworkers, Jay still drove himself to shows. He just brought a few suits and his microphone, and he never recruited a personal assistant, even after these mishaps. Despite the string of setbacks, Jay continued to perform more than 150 gigs annually. He continued to tour the States, mostly playing in small theaters. Jay was unfazed by the falls on and off stage. However, he finally slowed down due to a family tragedy. The artist's true test started in the most private setting of all, when the spotlight faded. Next to his wife, with whom he had spent almost 40 years of his life. The last goodbye. Jay Leno petitioned the Los Angeles court on January 26, 2024, to take on the role of legal guardian for his wife, Mavis Leno. According to the court filings, she needed help with everyday living, had been diagnosed with advanced dementia, and lost her capacity to handle money. According to the application, Jay was the only guardian. According to a medical report that Dr. Hart Cohen filed with the court on April 2, 2024, she occasionally forgets her birthdate and husband, Jay. The paper validated signs of spatial disorientation and short-term memory loss. The petition was processed quickly by the court, and a hearing was set for 2 months later. In 2024, the decision was made public on April 9. The request made by Jay Leno was granted. Following the hearing, Mavis's lawyer, Ronald Astron, stated, "Mavis agrees to the petition and does not oppose to it, Mr. She trusts Leno to defend her." Jay showed up at the hearing with his lawyer calm and collected. He merely affirmed that his top priority was to secure his wife's safety and financial stability without going into great detail. According to the court's order, he has complete right to make financial, legal, and medical decisions on Mavis's behalf when needed. In a subsequent interview, Jay Leno calmly and acceptingly described his wife's condition as a normal aspect of aging, saying, "She's fine, everybody's good, we're doing well, I just set up a will in case something happens." He continued to speak clearly, steadily, and with a hint of optimism. Jay made changes to his whole performance schedule following the court's ruling. In order to go home every night, he only took local gigs around California and led long-distance tours. According to other coworkers, he personally prepared meals, looked after his wife, and walked her through their tiny Beverly Hills garden. Slowly, the road gave way to the stage. According to close family acquaintances, Jay had a regular schedule every day. He took Mavis on walks in the morning. He inspected vehicles at his garage in the afternoon. He also read the newspaper with her at night. In June 2024, Jay met a reporter at a small charity function. He briefly said that spending time with Mavis was more important to him than any level of celebrity when asked about his current life. After more than 40 years in the public eye, the answer demonstrated a noticeable change in his priorities. Close sources claim that Mavis kept up her routine care at a Los Angeles memory care center. Jay always went with her to all of her appointments. Despite the fact that her memory had drastically deteriorated, Dr. Cohen acknowledged that she reacted effectively to maintenance medication. Jay only disclosed his medical information to a select group of friends and family members. Jay made a comeback in October 2024 to play at a small Hollywood bar. Several former colleagues made appearances on the 90-minute presentation. Since he continued to carry himself with the same poise and incisive, leisurely narration, the majority of the audience was unaware that he had shed about 10 kg. During the peaceful years spent providing care, flashbacks regarding Jay's illustrious career kept coming back. His work ethic and fortitude were rooted in his history. His name was once elevated to the highest level of American television during those years of late-night laughing. The highs and lows of a start. On April 28, 1950, Jay Leno was born in New Rochelle, New York. He was raised in a middle-class household. His mother was a stay-at-home mom, and his father was an insurance employee. Jay had a natural sense of humor from a young age, and frequently mimicked his professors' voices to make his peers laugh. That small happiness served as the catalyst for a lifetime of adventure. Jay started doing stand-up comedy at small clubs, while he was a communications student at Emerson College in Boston. To earn money, he studied, drew pictures, and made up quick routines. After graduating, he relocated to Los Angeles, where there were more prospects for young artists, and television was flourishing. Jay initially appeared as a guest performer on The Tonight Show in 1977. He became well known for the short set. He then started appearing frequently on different entertainment shows, and progressively established a reputation for his perceptive, straightforward, and approachable humor. As renowned presenter Johnny Carson got ready to retire in the early 1990s, NBC looked for a replacement. Jay Leno was selected following several trials. A new era in American late-night television began in 1992, when he formally assumed the role of host of The Tonight Show. The Tonight Show with Jay Leno was a fixture for over 20 years. An average of 5 million people watched each night. Jay consistently kept a positive and non-confrontational tone while interviewing guests, who ranged from politicians to movie stars, after opening each program with lighthearted quips about current affairs. He was dubbed the keeper of the late-night rhythm by his coworkers. Jay continued doing stand-up on the weekends throughout that time, claiming that being in front of live audiences kept him grounded. In addition to his talent as a host, viewers liked his work ethic. He had a reputation for being the first person to arrive to the studio. Jay gave Conan O'Brien the host chair when he temporarily left the show in 2009. He made a comeback when NBC rearranged their schedule a year later. Despite the outcry over the change, Jay remained silent, concentrated on his career, and hosted until 2014. The studio was silent when The Tonight Show's last episode aired. "This has been the greatest 22 years of my life," Jay stated slowly as he turned to face the crowd, capping off the most illustrious chapter of his broadcast career. He reiterated what the predecessor, Johnny Carson, had said. He admired it greatly. "I sincerely hope you all have a pleasant night." The final words, which marked the end of a late-night era that had impacted millions of American viewers, rang out like a salute and a farewell. The media at the time referred to it as the most heartwarming conclusion in American television history. According to articles at the time, he had established a new benchmark for talk show format by combining warmth and humor with consideration for his guests. Jay started collecting vintage automobiles around that time, a hobby he had had since he was a little boy. His Burbank garage eventually turned into a private museum with hundreds of antique motorcycles and cars. Jay made the remark that mending vehicles was the best form of rest a person could have in the middle of his hectic job schedule. Jay never made an announcement about his resignation from The Tonight Show. "It's time for another generation to take over," he added plainly. He kept traveling the United States, doing stand-up at little theaters, where the audience was still filled with the same laughter. Many people thought Jay would leave the stage as The Tonight Show ended. Rather, he took a new, quiet, and surprising route. Instead of studio lighting, he focused on the excitement of hands-on work and motor grease. The start of a fresh adventure that would develop on its own after midnight. A turn at a new intersection. He started Jay Leno's Garage on CNBC in 2015. Jay hosted and told stories on the show, which soon became a favorite among auto fans. Jay's garage looked like a private museum. From rare relics like the Chrysler turbine car to the McLaren phone supercar, he owned over 180 cars and almost 160 motorcycles. In Burbank, each vehicle held a unique story that Jay meticulously maintained over thousands of square meters. Viewers were drawn to the show because of its special visitors as well as its enormous collection. Jay once met President Joe Biden to share his passion for mechanics, and had a conversation with Tesla founder Elon Musk on the future of electric vehicles. Their appearances frequently garnered the season's top ratings. Jay did more than merely introduce the automobiles in each show. He researched their history, examined their engines, drove them, and talked about their collector value. Viewers were able to feel the real delight of a man who truly enjoyed machinery. because of his innately hilarious tone. He saw a car as evidence of human ingenuity and tenacity rather than as a showpiece. The series concluded in 2022 after 7 seasons. Jay said nothing, and CNBC announced a change in programming. He saw it as an opportunity to switch to a new platform rather than as the end. He soon started a YouTube channel called Jay Leno's Garage, where he posted new test drive films every week. Jay maintained a straightforward and unpolished style on YouTube, emphasizing authentic images and the unadulterated sound of engines. He was visible to viewers while he checked tires, cleaned windshields, and gave advice on how to drive vintage vehicles. Millions of people watched the videos, making his garage a household name. In addition to his automotive endeavors, Jay made a comeback to television in 2021-2023, hosting the game show You Bet Your Life. Alongside comedian Kevin Eubanks, he co-hosted The Tonight Show, reviving the show's signature lightheartedness. Jay's popularity among fans was sustained by the game show's rapid growth in viewership. Jay led a disciplined life despite his hectic schedule. In a Forbes interview, he stated, "I haven't spent any of the money NBC has paid me over the years." He clarified that he had been living solely off of his stand-up show revenues for decades, without dipping into his television earnings. He only slept for 4 hours every night and abstained from alcohol and tobacco. Jay is often characterized as an artist who is incapable of taking breaks. He went on to travel every year, doing over 150 gigs all throughout the United States. He frequently drove himself to events, took his own clothing and microphone, and didn't require a big team. Audiences felt as though they were seeing an old friend again because of his simplicity. Jay's collection was worth tens of millions of dollars in 2024, according to DuPont Registry. A few rare cars were bought from museums, refurbished, and then given to charitable foundations. He continued to wear blue jeans and old shirts despite his enormous fortune, a look that was inextricably linked to his oil-stained garage. Jay Leno decided to take a more subdued approach in an entertainment industry that is always evolving. He left the glittering studios behind and went back to engines, exhaust smells, and straightforward tales of skillful handiwork. It was a serene, vibrant continuation rather than a conclusion. If you grew up hearing Jay Leno chuckle, please comment below. After all these years, what do you think keeps him going? In order to see more stories about people who have walked outside of the spotlight, but never abandoned their love, don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications.